Hey there, readers. Whew, it has been a while since we have done some nonfiction reading, right? So we got to really brush up on some of our skills here and have some reminders of what it means to read nonfiction well and to remember the purpose of nonfiction reading, right? As much as it's awesome to have this informational text to read and get information from, we have to remember that when we're reading nonfiction, we're doing it through a different lens than what we read fiction through, right? We are reading to learn when we read nonfiction. As much as we read things because we find them interesting and want to know more, that's the process of learning, right? Wanting to know more. So let's take a minute and remind ourselves of how to get ready to read a nonfiction piece of writing. Okay. So when we are kind of perusing our options online and when we are looking at texts, right, we don't just pick up a book and go, all right, sweet, I found a book, time to start reading, right? That's not what we do right away, right? We have to pause and preview, right? Informational readers read with energy, with power. One way that informational readers do this is revving up your minds for reading. We're revving up like we're getting ready for the race, right? The race hasn't started just yet. Even before we shift into go and read a sentence of a text, we read the title, the subtitles, look over chunks of text and think. I think this book is mostly about. It might start with, then it will also tell, right? Those thoughts become our jots, and those thoughts help us decide, is this the right book for what I want to do? So, a lot of us have been thinking of research topics or maybe haven't decided them today. So I want you to keep this in mind as you're looking at what's out there for your potential ideas or just kind of looking to see if there's anything that you're interested in that you've never thought of before. Is this text teaching me something new? Is there something in here that answers a question that I have about my topic, right? So we're looking for some ways to kind of guide our research and thinking to push ourselves beyond what we think we might want to know. So let's talk about this previewing that I'm referring to. Or another word for this would be orienting, how we can orient ourselves with a text. So I have some examples for up here of ways you can orient. And I want to talk to you about the many levels you can do this at. Third, fourth, and fifth grade level, right? We're at the point where you want to be in that fourth grade level, but you might be starting to say, ooh, if I'm doing everything at the fourth grade level, what can I do to push myself even farther into fifth grade territory? So let's start with what you should be doing at this point. Before you read, you preview the text. You study the table of contents, if there is one, headings, introductions, topic sentences, text features, and so on. You maybe recognize that your text is following a certain text structure. Is it telling you things in order? Is it telling you a cause and effect or problem and solution? Is it comparing, right? That can help us really determine if this book is giving us the right information and how to record that information. You're relying on this previewing to predict how the text will go, and when doing research to decide what to read aloud and in what order. So it helps you decide how to organize your notes. Am I doing cause and effect notes? Am I using certain subtopics, right? Notice the difference between third and fourth grade. Third grade is all about just kind of looking to see, like, what kind of book is it? Is it a biography? Is it an informational book about a specific animal, right? And looking at the pictures. We're going beyond the pictures and we're using these to guide our note taking. We're using these to guide our thinking. Okay. Grade 5 would be, ooh, can you figure out that this text is complicated and might have more than one structure? But also referencing what the genre. Is it a biography? Is it a research article? Some of that some of us might be ready for, but I really want to focus on grade 4. Can I use text features to preview? Can I decide what to read in what order based on my previewing? And can I use that to organize my notes? Okay, so one way to do this with plenty of nonfiction text is to use those features to preview, right? That's the first step. So let me kind of show you what I mean when I say, let's like preview the text. So I'm super interested in Coral reefs. And that's about as far as I've got on my understanding of the topic. Like coral reefs is my idea, but like what about coral reefs, right? Like we can go so much farther beyond coral reefs. That's too broad of a topic. So I'm going to preview some text to see if I can find some subtopics about coral reefs to help me narrow down my research. As much as I want to look at books and things, I also think there might be some articles on like MusicLA and Dogo News and things that can help me. So I found this book on Epic and it's called Coral Reefs Matter. This title drew me in, that feature drew me in because I know that the coral reefs are dying and I want to see like, how can we help them? Why are they dying? Oh my goodness. Now that I'm reading this title and I've gravitated toward this book, I'm asking myself, why did I pick this book? What is this book mostly about? What does that mean to me? This book seems like it's going to be about why it's important to have coral reefs. It might start with telling us why they're dying. It might tell us how to help them. I think this is going to help me answer some of my questions. So coral reefs matter. So, okay, the table of contents is like the, right? It's literally going to tell you exactly what the book is about. So what is a coral reef, threats to coral reefs, why they matter, and the future of coral reefs. Okay, this might be a really good book to answer some of my questions. Like I know that they're dying. I just don't know how we can help them. So using these features, I already know what a coral reef is. That's about as much as I know. So I'm challenging myself to know more and learn more. So that feature lets me know that I don't necessarily need to stay fixated on this chapter. I'm still going to go through and look at some of the features, looking at the pictures and the captions. Sometimes we know that nonfiction texts have these little like blurbs of information on the side. That's a great place to look. But I'm like, I am more focused on what in the world is going on. Oh, this is a super great thing. Oh, and take a look here. Even though I know a lot about it, did you see that this gave me a link to a site? I should open that and see mycorelibrary.com/coral reefs matter. Is it mylibrary.com? mycorelibrary.com. /coral. So I can actually use this feature and type in. That's a really cool. So even though I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to spend too much time in this chapter, I like that I went in there because it's giving me a link to that. So I'm like, oh, that kind of just looks like book links, but oh, this is taking me to like research sites. Perfect. I'm going to jot that down in my notes. Let's go back to looking at some of the features though. Threats to coral reefs. Yes, I want to know what is causing these reefs to die. This chapter is going to be good for what I need to know. I think it's going to tell me what is making them die. I'm not even going to read it all though. I'm just going to kind of get an overview to see, is this something that I could go back to and take notes on eventually? All right, so coral reefs become stressed and die for many reasons. Okay, so that's my topic sentence. It's saying they die for many reasons. Coastal pollution can introduce harmful substances. Okay, so I think one of those reasons is probably going to be pollution, right? Climate change. I notice these headings are kind of like subtopics. Coastal development. Approximately 44% of the world's population lives within 93 miles of the ocean. I wasn't really sure what coastal development meant, but I think that helps me understand. So it's saying a lot of the world lives really close to the ocean. So I think the development of people living there might have something to do with it. Coastal industries, coastal communities. Communities in Southeast Asia have a long history of relying on the sea. Oh, so I think a lot of people like overuse the oceans. Okay. So I think I'm definitely going to do some research and figure out what's causing them to die. And then I'm going to do some research and figure out how we can help. So I'm almost like writing a presentation or making a presentation on like cause and effect, or maybe even problem and solution. I think problem solution would be the organization of my final project. So now that I've done this, I'm going to start looking into other resources because I'm realizing that I'm picking some subtopics out here, some deeper things to research rather than coral reefs. So now that I've seen what's out there, it's helped me guide my research a little bit more. And that's what I want you to do today. I want you to continue exploring what is out there on the topic you want to search and figure out how can I maybe narrow down to some subtopics, or maybe is the idea you have a subtopic that can fit into a bigger thing that you can research. All right. So it's going to be your job today to preview texts, articles, other pieces of information out there on your topic to really figure out what is it exactly I want to research and what do I want to know about this topic. Happy researching.